And so what we like to do is we'll harvest these bigger ones that look like they're going to be soggy in the next week or so. And then the smaller ones, we like to hide them so that we can give them another week or two. And what we've seen is an increase in size of about 20-fold. I would say within a 20-foot diameter of our current location, there are definitely 100 morels. So this is an interesting cluster. It's actually 2 clusters of 3 growing in a line. If we follow that line, we directly hit the base.
Welcome to another episode of Utah Mushroom Hunter, and we've got a really fun one. Today we're doing a little bit of research. We got Tyler Hacking and Joe Badger, and we're out on collecting morels, and we're going to see if we can find how many we can find. I got the feeling we're going to find a ton of them today because we've got these two people. You know, both these people know some amazing spots, and they've got this spot that we're going to go look at that we're going to just look for morels, see how they're growing. We know there's going to be some there, and maybe we'll be able to harvest a few of them as well. But anyway, let's get going. Let's see what we can find.
Woo!
Before going any further, I just want to emphasize the work that Tyler Hacking is doing. He's a mycologist here doing research on morels here in Utah. So he's doing a lot of work that will aid in the conservation of morels here in Utah. And by the way, this is one of the morels that we found on during this hunt. And with him and the research that he's doing, you can actually contribute and help him with his research by downloading iNaturalist and documenting the mushrooms that you're finding. And there's a way to do that to keep the locations hidden from the general public. And still help him in his research. So he's going to show you how to do that here.
All right, so we found a patch of Morchella brunei. We're going to press the plus button in our iNaturalist app and go to take a picture. Then we're going to come over to our specimen here, get as close of an angle as we can without losing focus, and tap the screen so that your camera will focus in on the specimen. Take a picture, try to hold as still as you possibly can, and that provides a clear image which biologists can use to identify your organism. So if you want to be really thorough, after you set your morel mushroom observation to private or obscured, go click another picture plus icon in the top left. It may be different based on your device. And what we're going to do is cut this morel in half so we can see the internal anatomy. I'm going to face it both ways because that's ideal. Usually I'll use a measuring device instead of just my knife, but showing scale of size can be very helpful. It's hard to infer that from an image. Orient your image upward, press OK. Sometimes it'll have a little error if you don't do that, and then click the plus sign, and it's uploading your observation.
And that's all you got to do?
That's all you have to do to contribute to scientific research around the world, and all of the biologists will thank you. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now, does it matter if like how much stem you show when you take that initial picture, or probably not because you're doing this cross-section picture, right?
Actually, it can, depending on the species. For morels, it's not something we worry about as much, but there are other species of fungi where using the base, the stipe anatomy can be one of the things that we use to identify that fungi. So I discourage people typically ripping out the entire mushroom. Just covering it up with some of the local substrate seems to spawn more, and I would encourage that instead of taking the entire stump personally. But
I love that. I encourage the same thing because I hypothesize that would help it encourage it to grow the next year, but also because the dirt that's on the bottom, the second that you put that in your bag with the stump on it, it just seems to push that dirt into the crevices way more than than you'd have otherwise. And so I'm really big about cutting it off flush with the ground and covering it.
Yeah, I do that too. This year, because of the cell culture experiments that we're doing, we're gonna pull a few more. But as you oh, there's our buddy walking up on us. We're filming a video. Welcome. So here are Mortella bruniae, more of them, and they grow in clusters really close to each other. Here's a little baby, and then there's another hiding right here. And so what we like to do is we'll harvest these bigger ones that look like they're going to be soggy in the next week or so. And then the smaller ones, we like to hide them so that we can give them another week or two. And what we've seen is an increase in size of about 20-fold, which is really nice. If you like eating lots of mushrooms, lots of weight, overall volume, I would recommend leaving anything under 2 inches. And what we've found in our research is that these little baby mushrooms, like this little primordia here, this little nub that's really hard to see, hasn't developed enough to release spores. And so if you harvest the mushroom before it can release spores, you're removing potentially beneficial mutations from the gene pool of that species, and it could be harmful to the species.
So you're recommending then that these mushrooms should be about 2 inches tall before you consider harvesting them?
Yes, and there is variation species to species, but it's like humans. We don't develop the capacity or anatomy for reproduction until we've developed other physiological parts of our body to support that. And fungi are the same way. They build the structure of the mushroom first, and in the case of Mortella, they grow an ascocarp that contains asci or ascus, which contain ascospores, but those spores are the last thing to develop. They develop after the fully developed asci, which we found under the microscope when we document these little baby morels. The other thing is you're going to get a lot more morel population abundance and wider distribution the following year if you allow those spores to be distributed throughout the habitat.
I love it. I love your knowledge. I love your information.
Thank you, Blaine.
You bet.
Yeah, don't eat baby mushrooms.
Tyler here is encouraging us to hide our mushrooms that we don't harvest because not only does it help them grow and spore out and so forth, but it'll help your mushroom grow bigger so when you come back for it later. Can you show us your mushroom here so we can see what it looks like?
Absolutely. So this is along a deer trail that people hike. Sometimes I see footprints. And when I find clusters of morels like this, I'll take a piece of the forest floor, just scoop your hand under it, and when you have these pine needles, they kind of compact together. And they create the perfect camouflage.
Look at those.
Look at that cluster of Mortella bruniae. It's beautiful. And so what I find is that they love growing between the wood, around the wood, under rocks. And so when I first found this cluster, each of these mushrooms were about the size of my thumbnail. And as you can see, the slugs like them as well. Sometimes when you find slugs, they're fungivores. That's a sign that there are mushrooms in the area. And so when I first found this little cluster, there's just 5 little, thumbnail-sized mushrooms. This was about 2 weeks ago that I came to this site. And I just covered them like this. And I pin it down with something slightly heavy. And I think that stops the wind from finding it, and it just looks like fallen natural debris. I would encourage you to do this because more spores will be released into nature. You're going to get more mushrooms next year, and you give them the time to grow. There's no point in eating baby mushrooms. We're going to get such a greater harvest from this, higher yield and quantity, more weight, and arguably better flavor as well. They're properly ripe when they're that size, and they haven't gotten crispy because of the little dome we've created holds in the moisture for them. So it's a wonderfully effective technique I use year after year. I would encourage you to do the same.
Perfect.
Thanks, Blaine. Okay, so we found this cluster on the side of the road. I always take the time to hide them. It doesn't take me too long. And all I'm gonna do is get some substrate from the surrounding area like that, shake off the dirt. I'm gonna put down a leaf or two on top of our little morel clusters here. You probably can't see them too well because they're pretty well hidden already. And even just off the side of the trail, we miss them unless we go off the trail. And so by doing that, putting those leaves on them, and then just weighing those leaves down with a little bit of that coverage and a couple of sticks, allows us to come back in a week or two, and they're much, much bigger when we do come back. 20 to 40 times bigger is the basic difference that we find, but it's also based on the amount of rain that you get and how warm it is. Look at these big fatties right here.
Yeah, those look awesome.
Likely Mortella bruniae, possibly Mortella snyderi. More than I would guess bruniae on these guys.
All right, so how many mushrooms do you think we found in this 10-foot radius area? There's probably like,
Well,
It's gotta be 100.
if you include the
100?
ones that I hid,
Just right here.
I would say within a 20-foot diameter of our current location, there are definitely 100 morels. A good chunk are primordia. They're not fully developed mushrooms. So we try to stick to about a 2-inch roll. We grab the ones that get knocked over, but this is a good harvest size. These are ripe mushrooms, ideal ripeness.
and tell me why you're using an egg carton.
Well, it's a fantastic holder, protects the specimens. It allows me to sort them based on the site if I want to, and it prevents them from getting damaged. The other thing is that it immediately starts to dehydrate them, and typically these mushrooms are a bit moist when we find them. I've had success at keeping them in my fridge for 2 to 3 weeks without any mold or anything like that in egg cartons, and it fits easily in your bag when you're hiking around.
I love the idea of an egg carton. When you first showed me that, I didn't understand how convenient that is. That's awesome.
Very convenient if you like getting home without broken up mushrooms. And morels are very delicate, so I like to keep them in something that will protect them.
So there are a lot of morels in this area.
Yeah, we can't even make it up this trail because we're just finding so many, huh?
You're finding a bunch down there too, huh?
They're just everywhere.
We're not even at a good spot yet either. This
I don't
is
know
like
if I
the-
believe you, but
Look at that gorgeous one. Holy cow, that one is fun. That is so thick. The ripples on that thing are thick. Look how gorgeous this mushroom ended up being. That is just a perfect, gorgeous specimen. And Tyler's going to take it. And what are you going to do with it?
So I'm going to cut the base right here so that I can see that there's some amount of airflow. And that will preserve the specimen. I would argue this is ideal ripeness, the perfect ripeness that you want to eat a morel mushroom at. It's not underdeveloped and it's not crispy or mushy. And so ripeness is important when we consider eating a mushroom. Most of what we collected today is ripe, and there were some that were knocked over by other people that we collected, but generally they're all the same color and size. For Morchella brunei, I would argue 3 to 5 inches is the ideal ripeness size in height.
And that's what these are.
Yeah, and what we're doing with the stumps is I'm actually using them in a cell culture research experiment at Utah Valley University in a mentored research project. And so what we're trying to do is culture different cell types. And because of our methods, I can handle it unsanitarily like this because we use specific methods in the lab to culture out the morel, the Morchella, and we'll be able to grow them in totes, in auger, and hopefully get actual ascospores in the totes and then our outdoor sites that we establish.
So if you're not going to use it for that, to research, you leaving the stumps, and you only take them for research.
I definitely leave the stumps in the ground, and then I also cover them with some of the local substrate, because the idea is that you're keeping the moisture in that vascular structure and potentially promoting the development of more morels from that same mycelial connection that was made in the soil. Yeah, and when I do that, I bring around a little bag of stumps. Normally I would not do this, but because we're doing an experiment, we need material. Yeah, and then we just throw that in the freezer till we're ready to work with it in the laboratory.
yeah, these are nice and big.
There's another one right there.
This is the perfect.
Oh man, that is a gorgeous flush right there. All right, so Joel just found a nice little flush here. Look at those right there. A couple of them. There's probably there's 3 of them right there.
Looks like one in the back, 4.
Oh, there's 4 of them there.
Here's one.
My goodness. Look at those. Another nice little pocket of them.
Will you help him keep track of these, Blaine? I'm going to go to this other spot and check it. But there's one right here, guys, too. And then I'll get the one down here so you don't have to. And then there's a guy right here.
Gosh.
I know. See, this is what I mean by the flush, right? They like this whole area. And arguably, they're coming from these guys. This is a blue spruce, right? I suck at trees. I need to bring my tree book.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
It looks a little bluish, so it could be.
And then there's all these fallen trees. And there's a lot of erosion here. This is a great spot. Oh, here's the other fatty. I'll collect this guy and document it, but then I'm going to go over to this spot over here.
Now, this has been impressive. We've shown only a fraction on video, the morels that we've been finding. Throughout this area, we've probably found between 200 and 300 already, if not 400. It's crazy how many morels are in this area. There's a lot of areas that are holding morels right now. If you haven't gone out to get looking, now's a good time to do it.
All right, so this is an interesting cluster. It's actually 2 clusters of 3 growing in a line. If we follow that line, we directly hit the base of this conifer. I believe it's a spruce. So if we dig down into the soil, we're gonna find there is likely a root path line here. And the same for tertiary Morchella like this. However, it could be inverse. They could be coming from one of these other trees, and it's interesting. You look closer, and here's a big fat one under here that no one even saw till your face is right in front of it. And they just grow in such big clusters. It's really fun. And look how effective the egg carton method is. These are all nicely protected, and bugs can fall out, dirt can fall out to a degree on the side, and I can put it into my bag.
Oh, it's working great.
It works so well, yeah.
We're finding so many through here. Look at that great
That's part of
big
the
one.
deductive scientific process. You know, we have to determine what parameters are important for us to focus on through the statistical analysis process, because it tells us which ones are important and which ones aren't.
All right, so here's the mushrooms that Tyler had saved back. You can see they're all the big ones. Look how awesome those look.
It's what we collected in about an hour.
Yeah.
On this hill once we got here.
And we left a gazillion of them.
Most.
Yeah, just about all of them.
But check out the size here. I use my hand for comparison. We try to make about a 2-inch mushroom, the smallest. And some of the reasons that we're harvesting these is because of the recent moisture. We don't want them to get soggy, or they've been chewed on, and there's insect holes, and they're on trails that people are gonna find. But we left like 75% of the mushrooms that we found today.
We did. And what did you think of all these mushrooms today?
It was amazing. This is like one of the best spots. Yeah, we left
In Utah.
so many. We left so many. We just took the ones that are, you know, like bigger than a golf ball, something like that.
We covered like half a square mile and did not even cover all of the area or multiple areas that are connected. And there are so many flushes that it extends beyond multiple ranges throughout the mountain itself.
Not even enough time to like.
Yeah, this place was
Never.
incredible. Yeah. Okay, so I think we're gonna call it a day. And oh my gosh, what a day we had. I think I only videoed maybe not even 10% of everything we saw, probably not even 5% of what we saw, because they were just everywhere. Any idea, what do you guys think we saw today? 400 of them?
Easily. And what were we here for? An hour, hour and a half at most, and have to return to our families at home. This was a on the way back one.
You just barely found that. And this is a picked over spot.
We're just heading back to the car, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe like a 5-gallon bucket, you know, something like that.
Yeah, that was incredible. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. And thanks again for watching this version of Utah Mushroom Hunter. And remember, leave the small ones and harvest only the big ones. And register for iNatural and start posting those. Yeah, you can post them in the location anonymously, so that you don't have to worry about people finding your location. And that way the scientists like Tyler here can use that. You know, Tyler Hacking, I don't know if you know Tyler Hacking, but he is one of the, he's probably going to become the top mycologist in the state here soon, if he's not already. He's incredible.
Big compliment, thank you.
Oh, the amount of research that he's doing and his contribution to, to our Morel world, especially here in Utah, is just incredible.
Well, citizens contribute a lot. You guys being here contributes to the data that we publish on, and your contributions are critical. Citizen scientists provide us sometimes multitudes more data than we could ever collect in a lifetime by ourselves.
and contributing on iNatural is a great way to help. Now you have a project on iNatural, right? How do I contribute to that?
So you can go to just iNaturalist.com, and the project is called Mysteries of the Morchella. You can join it, and the only people who have access to private locations, if you save it as private, are the administrators, which is just me and my research mentor. No one else in the entire project can actually see where the private spots are, but they can see the observation, they can look at the picture, they can see what's in the background, and they can see the county or the state that it's in. And together we help each other to find a lot of new locations, and that's what it's all about. When we look around, there's so many spots that are undiscovered. Every year there are more than we think there are, for sure.
And do people have to worry about you guys taking their spots if they post a location?
No, actually, and you know, it's especially okay to do that at public locations, because I promise you that a lot of other people already found them there. And especially if you see stumps, that's evidence. So I sometimes publicly post where I find stumps, because I know that other people are going there, and it helps new people who spend 5 years and hundreds of dollars in gas, many hours and energy trying to find these things. Use iNaturalist. It will give you such a head start to learning about how to find the mushrooms that you're interested in.
Yeah. So, and by the way, these administrators, they've got so many locations that, you know, they're not going to go to your location and take them. And that's the bottom line. They strictly are interested in the scientific information. And so you can really help. You can really do a lot to contribute to what they're doing, the work that they're doing, and so forth. So I really encourage that you do that. And I don't know if you heard what Tyler said there. The iNaturalist app is a fantastic resource to help you identify areas where you can find morels. It probably doesn't give you, there's probably not a lot of posts on there that give you very specific information, but it'll help a ton. It'll help you kind of point you in the right direction so you can find your own spots.
The more people that use it, the more information is available. So if we encourage more people to use it, the spots are much easier to find for everybody. And you can obscure them, and it'll just show, you know, the canyon that you're in, not the exact location. So you can still contribute to science, and it's very appreciated by all the biologists in the world.
You can even set it, I think, so it just shows the county, right?
Yep, or the state.
Or just the state.
Yeah, if you set it to private, it just shows the state.
And regardless, you're helping the scientific community. So
yeah.
Again, thank you so much for watching this episode of Utah Mushroom Hunter, and we will see you in the next episode.
Yeah.